Welcome back to the Night Shift, your safe space for talking about UFOs, UAPs, NHI. Disclosure? Is it Disclosure Day? I think it is. Feels like it. The Department of War went live today at 8 a.m. I think it crashed, actually, briefly, when I tried to load it, with their first drop of detailed images and files and all kinds of goodies from the UFO disclosure process that was initiated by President Trump a couple of weeks ago.
Clint, you've frozen, by the way. We can hear you, but you're there you go. You're back.
All right, switch.
Were you
tabs.
on another tab? Yeah, there you go.
StreamYard, come on, people, fix that tab thing. So that's really exciting, and we're going to talk about that. And we put a call out to our Discord community. If you are interested in participating in that, you can get to our Discord through the links that will be posted. We've also got our mod squad who's going to be posting links throughout the show. And we're asking you guys to submit your coolest finds. If there's something that really blew your mind that you want us to look at on the show, go there in the general chat on our Discord channel and post it. And we'll be pulling stuff throughout the show as we get there. Got a special guest today. Andy McGrillen from That UFO Podcast is here to help us make sense of all the craziness. Of course, we've also got Dan the Man from Others from Another Mother, our extremely multi-talented and amazing producer Xander Jones is with us. And, of course, Pavel Psychoactivo is here. How you doing, guys?
I was just reading my book, sorry.
Oh, didn't see you there.
I think we may have. It's going to be a full house, but we may have room for one more as well. You know how I said, Ramsey's going to want to get involved tonight. I think we'd been live for 30 seconds, and I got a link. Ramsey's he'll like probably join soon.
He's like the mailman on Mr. Rogers. He kind of like shows up, drops in once in a while, like just strolls into the studio. It's great.
Beautiful.
Two big stories this week, guys. This Christian pastors are, going all over the internet saying that they've got the straight dope on the alien situation from a briefing they had with some members of the intelligence community. One of these guys, Larry Ragland, already had to put out a retraction and apologize to Eric Burleson. That's kind of been the big story until this disclosure dropped today. What do you guys think about that? I'm curious. Have you guys been following this?
We can watch it quickly if you want.
Yeah.
1.5 minutes just to bring people up to speed.
Yeah, let's do it.
With a group of men who are connected with the intelligence world that are believers, but are still have very high security clearance. These are legit, true men of God that are still connected to Washington and even this current administration and all branches of military. And they literally told us, we had a sitting congressman, a very well-known congressman from Missouri. He called into that meeting as well. That was just for pastors. And this is what he said. On speakerphone, this sitting powerful member of Congress said, "Are the pastors listening to me?" I'm getting chills right now because this happened to me. He said, "Are the pastors in the room listening to me?" And I said, "Yes, sir, we are here." And he said, "Listen to me. Go and tell the church they are not ready for what is coming. The narrative that is coming, what they are going to say is going to be like nothing you can even imagine. They are preparing to tell us that they are from another dimension, that they are our creator, and that these beings, these aliens, or whatever you want to call them, they were the ones that seeded us here. There is no such thing as God. Jesus was invented by them. The Bible was invented by them." And begin to just say, listen, prepare the people for what is coming because they're not ready. But he loved us so much. He made sure that he told us exactly the blueprint to study. He said, study the days of Noah. And if you can understand how Noah responded, that's how you're going to have to respond.
What a knobhead.
At least he wasn't dramatic.
Wasn't true, was it?
Dude, he's an awful liar. Look at his eyes. He's just like, he's so obviously lying.
So this was Burleson's response, basically.
So Burleson calls this out immediately, and he says, "I've had many people ask me to respond to what the internet has said about what a person has said, what he says that I said." Really? I would remind people to listen to what I have already publicly stated, which is basically the following. I do not know what the strange objects in the skies are, and I certainly do not know their origins. I was asked to call in. I was asked to call them in by phone to a conference or a meeting of theologians. I could not tell you at all what was said at that meeting because I was not there and did not hear much of what was said. When I did have a chance to speak, I expressed my views, which is that we Christians tend to get dug into our personal worldviews, even if they have nothing to do with what has actually been written in the Bible. It would be wise for Christians to stick to what the Bible says and not what they think it says. If, and that is a big if, disclosure occurs at any type, then it will be all the more important for us Christians to be educated in our own scriptures. Until that time, I will continue to seek the truth, whatever it may be. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Eric Burleson.
Moving on.
Discuss. What do you guys think? How do you feel about this whole story? The whole thing feels gross.
So for me, the important part of this is that there's a group of people who are like ufologists. They were described as Christian intelligence, which is fucking weird. That are going around speaking to these pastors about what they think is going on in ufology. And these guys got a hold of Burleson to call in one of these meetings. And all Burleson was doing really was just like warning, because I think, and this is something that I think some of us share here, that some of that worldview from like the ancient scripture, it's really medieval, it's archaic, like, and it's an interpretation. And there's a lot of people that really believe a lot of that stuff. And whenever this comes, if it's real, there's a lot of people that are going to have that type of ontological shock. And I think that Burleson was just trying to warn them about that, but they fucking twisted it.
A little bit.
He said the exact opposite of, it's literally, he literally just flipped it and then really delivered an awful pitch. Like his media, his whole thing, his whole shtick is sort of this Alex Jonesy kind of like fear mongering, super intense, I don't know, Jesus bro energy. I don't know. It feels very like inauthentic to me, and I guess it was. Yeah.
We can welcome Chris Ramsey, by the way. Here he is. Hey,
there
Chris.
he is. Hey, dude.
Hey, Chris.
What's up, boys?
What's happening?
Morning.
What's going on, man? Have you been following this story, Chris? The pastors?
Oh, a little bit. Wasn't there like a back and forth, kind of a flip flop situation about what was being said and versus what actually happened?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. It was
some sinning on the parts of the pastors, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that. And
who'd have thunk?
But then it kind of brought to mind the larger question for me of how this is being absorbed by people of faith, of different types of faith, and certainly within a certain subsection of the Christian community. They are folding the UFO narrative into the message, whatever that message may finally turn out to be, which I think is a really interesting development because we kind of saw this coming. But it also feels really weird and inauthentic because I'm watching some of this content these guys are putting out and they don't know anything about the phenomenon. And you can see them trying to catch up in real time. And they're trying to like fold their own language around what we know is happening to make it work for their audience, or maybe it's just the way that they're processing it. But it was just weird watching it. It's like watching someone from 15 years ago catch up.
Well, we should get used to that. We're going to be seeing a lot of that, I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like every time a great scientific discovery was ever made, I feel like that's what happened to the church. They were like, hold on, might be demons.
Might be demons.
Let's not get,
There's also an uncanny ability to look back into the text and find a place where it fits really neatly, because the texts are just so vast. Like, you can literally make anything that's happening now fit. And I'm not trying to say that the Bible's just any old story. It's clearly very important, but it's a big book. Like, there's a lot of things that can happen that will fit with a lot of stuff that book said.
And it's only one book. You know, there's a great author, Artie Sixkiller Clark. She's an indigenous researcher who collected the stories of indigenous people across America of various different tribes and their encounters with NHI and UAP. And not only did she collected their historical accounts, and then she also did another book, I think it was called Space Age Indians, where she talked to people who are still living and had experiences. And what they described is a completely different type of a relationship with these beings that goes back thousands of years. And in most cases, they have a teacher-student relationship. It's very holistic. Their worldview is sort of automatically, it incorporates this hierarchy of types of beings in a much more friendly way. And then watching, you know, I'm from the South, and I know a lot of guys that are very much like these pastors. I used to have a client who was just fucking like one of these guys. It drove me insane. But watching them try to like find a way to shoehorn all this into a message that basically resonates with a lot of fear, I think that's really interesting if you see the other side of it.
I think it's also kind of necessary.
You think so?
I think to a certain degree, I think there needs to be different interpretive modalities for this information in order for it to be climatized into everyday talk. And those modalities will happen through the hard sciences, through the soft sciences, through the religions, through psychology, through theology, and also through, philosophy. I think that we're going to take this information and put it through all these different filters so that we can try and attempt to lead a normal life with this information. So I think it's a natural progression that we do that. I don't think there's anything behind it. Maybe there is, like, in terms of like shaping narrative, but I think for the most part, it's just natural sort of hip check reaction to this information. We have to try and fit it in somewhere. And I think that's fine for the most part, as long as it doesn't turn in to like war. I think then it's okay. Yeah.
Which is already happening, the war. Sorry, Andy.
Andy, go ahead.
No, hi Chris, because we've not met before, so nice to meet you, and well done in your cool studio. I've not caught the Bob Lazar interview yet either. Look forward to catching part 2. So Christian intelligence is a really interesting idea. Reminds me of like Men in Black, but wearing white instead. My concern with this, and what I'd be curious to know, is who were the 2 individuals who briefed these folks on this call? Is it going to be folks we know? Because what am I right in saying they were retired but connected to the intelligence community? So are these guys who were already known to the UFO community? Pavel's going to answer that.
There's a conflation as to who they were. The best explanation I got was from Timothy Alberino, because he's known in the religious circles.
Yep.
And he described them as a UFO group that is evangelical Christian, that didn't show anything classified or anything. It was just already information that was already out there. But yeah, he made that distinction, and he didn't say anything about being government or from the intelligence community or anything like that. So I don't think they are. I think they're just ufologists who are evangelical Christians.
So in that case, these guys are jumping on the bandwagon for numbers, clicks, and because they hear Burleson, Luna, particularly both of those talking about angels, demons, Bible interpretations. And let's be fair,
Book of Enoch.
I'm praising Luna for a lot of the work she's done in this topic, pushing it forward. Her Rogan interview was really awkward at times because she was clearly trying to regurgitate information she had been told, I'm guessing by Grush, hopefully not Greer, but probably Greer and others, and not quite remembering it all. So it got a little bit awkward and mixed up at times. And I think you see guys like this who, shock horror, will take advantage of a situation or people or a vulnerable situation for their own monetary gains, because Jesus said they should have big houses and boats. And I think that's what we're going to see.
Was I the only one super surprised to find out that they've got like the full YouTube setup, like the green screen and like the effects? Like, I had no idea it was that game for pastors. Like, I didn't know they were I didn't know they were preaching like that. Like I found this out when like 6 pastors went to Twitter and they were like, I was there, and they had like lightning strikes and UFOs in the back of them. It was kind of insane to me.
Yeah, they all have like a graphics team, and they've got like people. It's a big production.
That pastor money, buddy.
That pastor money.
Business is good over there.
Quick story about a guy who I used to know that I was a client of mine, and he was one of these types of guys, and he had this whole deal where he really wanted to feed the homeless, and so he would make a huge deal out of it. Once a week, he would go around to all these restaurants and he would gather, get a bunch of food, and he would make, everybody that worked for him had to come out, and it was like his whole staff, and then they would go out to a parking lot near a public park, and they would set up a food pantry. But before he would let anybody eat, he wanted to make sure that a camera crew got him standing in front of the crowd, addressing them with a sermon. And then he would take this footage, and this was his promo footage for selling his motivational speaking and all his other bullshit. And it was just such a fucking turnoff to watch a bunch of hungry people sit there and have to wait for this stupid motherfucker to do his douchey fucking whatever the fuck. And so whenever I see these guys like they come out of the screen with the fucking evil eye fucking stare down, like, y'all, yep. I'm just trying to save y'all soul. Y'all, I'm like, dude, don't fucking come at me like that. Like, first of all, that's just ignorant. You don't even know what questions to ask yet. You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, for one. And two, to come in here and act like you have all the answers. Like, dude, we don't even have the slightest idea what we're dealing with yet. And this is from people who've been looking at it for 30 fucking years. So, like, I just wish these guys would slow their roll. If you want to bring Jesus into the conversation and have a discussion about faith and how it fits into the Christian faith, that's all fine. I think everybody is open to that. Like, a healthy discussion is a good thing.
Oh, and
but don't like kick the fucking door down like the Kool-Aid man.
I think there needs to be some sort of a round table. If stuff comes out honestly about these things, I think that faiths will have to sit down and talk it over, because everybody has their own interpretation, everybody has their own ideas. The scientific community, we know that can also be dogmatic. They also need to sit down at a table and just talk this shit over, because if they don't do that, it's going to get even more chaotic than we probably expected. And I don't want that, really.
I got the sense that is what the design was, based on the Carl Nell presentation at the Soul Symposium. I looked at those slides again the other day, and it's very much laid out in lines of effort and between the different disciplines, how this is all going to roll out over various phases. And I just think if we're watching it in real time, we're watching people consume this, process it, understand it, and they're putting it into terms that make sense for them. And then we're also seeing that hypercharged by a content cycle and an algorithm and a whole system behind that. And it's weird to watch. This is what it looks like when humans finally realize we're not alone. It takes a long time. It's really fucking messy. A lot of people don't know what to think, and there are going to be people who step into that vacuum with answers. And if those answers are right or wrong, some people just don't care. Mm-hmm. That's what's interesting to me. It's one of the things about, like, there were 2 other stories this week. One was that Obama had an interview with Stephen Colbert, and he said he would be. Pavel, can you talk about this? Because you actually said this yesterday in our meeting. What happened with Obama that was so interesting?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that instantly went at like, oh, Obama is like towing the line, or like he's part of the cover up, because he was like laughing it off a little bit at the beginning of the exchange. But my observation was that in the second part, he talked about being an emissary, and he got really serious. He was like, first contact, and then the final phrase, he was like, but it hasn't happened yet. And I was like, whoa, what the hell is that? that was crazy. And everybody went with the negative stuff, which, yeah, I mean, if you just said aliens are real about 2 months ago, you can't like go on and just on talk shows start revealing everything like, what were people expecting exactly? I don't get it.
Is Obama gaslighting then? Because he did make a pretty clear statement, and you're right that Obama's, in my opinion, because I don't know the guy, I don't know if you lot do personally, but he seems to be the type of guy who is very careful with what he says, how he says it, and it's very deliberate. So are we saying that that's always the case? Or are we saying he picks and chooses when he does that? Because it can't be both. And either he's walked it back or he hasn't.
To me, it's a little kayfabe, if I'm honest with you, in the sense that Obama, I think, knows what might be going on behind the scenes, but he can't just like try and take credit for everything. I think that, and I keep repeating this on my channel, that 2011 White House Correspondents' Dinner where Obama roasted Trump, that was a key moment in this whole thing because it set the standard of how their interaction would be like from that moment forward. That made Trump run for president. I think that's what got him to go like, fuck this guy. I'm gonna run, like, and I think that Trump is always like that. He's very predictable in that sense. Whenever he sees Obama doing anything, he's always reacted. And partly, I think Obama is partly fucking a little bit with Trump when it comes to this, but also, I mean, he's funding Betty and Barney Hill documentary. I mean, how is he not involved or aware of what's going on?
I just want to play this clip because I think this is the most honest answer we've had from Obama regarding what he might know, and it's obviously a non-answer.
The one from James Corden too,
I
though.
love this clip, though. This is the good one.
This is where he, this is where he's saying as much as he can.
Every twitch, everything, and of course. So, did you look? Did you see? Did you explore?
I can't reveal anything.
Oh, really?
It's short, but it's.
But then he says, and they exercise strict control over us.
That was before that bit, yeah.
Right,
but,
yeah. And I'm like, feels a little on the head.
Yeah.
Do you think it's that simple, guys? Do you think it could be that simple? It's a fucking top-down, like, you get elected president, they call you into a room, and they're like, look, it's the fucking they live people. It's like that. And, you're in a ballroom, and it's like, we're very successful. Profits are up 110%. And the humans have no idea.
Can I perhaps share what I think? This is just going to be wild speculation. If you don't mind me speculating.
We don't do that here.
This is just a couple of minutes.
Speculation zone.
I just feel like this whole what does the president know, what doesn't he know? I think we have to think in terms of who controls the information, and I think a lot of them would say they all do. Like the administration would say, oh yeah, we know, but then the private industry would probably go, yeah, they don't know, we know. And it's kind of like all these separate people. I think it's entirely possible that the administration may have known something at one point. But, you don't get to control this information all of the time. Maybe they were told one thing on a need-to-know basis. For example, what Eric Davis alludes to was told to the president that cried. I forget his name every single time.
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. He was told that Jimmy Carter was effectively shown what we know to be the Aquarius document. That's a very old document, but for all we know, that's what they're still working with all these years later because they might not be read in on the up-to-date legacy stuff. So when the president says, well, when we assume the president knows something, he might know that, but he might also recognize, yeah, it's a 50-year-old document. I can't come out and say this is real because it's 50 years old. Like, I don't know if it's true anymore, but I know something. But it's also classified. And that's how the puzzle fits in my head. Like, I don't think the president really does know the most up-to-date information at any one time. I think the briefing is the same briefing that all presidents get, and it's just this is a really cool document we got 30, 40 years ago. That's it.
Yeah. I think it's that and a combination of probably like backdoor conversations that are strategically given to him as passage material. I think, you probably have whoever's in the know construct some type of story that adequately keeps him in check, keeps him, keeps his curiosity satiated, in that they're like, hey, look, here's the real deal. All right, Mr. President, on the down low, here's what's really happening. This is why we can't share it. And they give him some doomer take on it. Meanwhile, all they're doing is reverse engineering the shit out of this $1 trillion industry and just making piles of money, right? And they're probably just giving him like the scare tactic stuff. Oh, you can't say this because it's really, whatever. And meanwhile, they don't know what the hell it is, where it's from, but they know it's worth, its weight in gold. And that's, so there's probably some mix of that too, I would think.
See, Clint, if you owned a hotel chain, right? You don't know what's going on in every room of that hotel. You probably don't even know what's going on in each individual hotel. You know the overview of it. You've then got managers who deal with the floors of the hotel and down to the cleaners. And I think it's like that. Like you say, there's probably an overview of there's various intelligence briefings and documents. I don't think anyone voluntarily who knows the real top level stuff, the shit that people who are working with Lazar, that Chris is speaking to, right? Who would actually, they don't go to the president and go, do you want to know what we're working on down in S4? Or actually, Area 51, that's now a cover for this place we've got buried in Arizona somewhere 2,000 feet underground. I just don't think that happens anymore. And it sounds so simple, but the old adage of presidents are there for 4 years. Actually, here's one for you. I used to be a holiday rep, okay? For those who don't know what a holiday rep is, people would go on holiday and for a week or two, I would look after them, basically, and make sure their stay was comfortable. And I'm going to use a crude example here. There was a phrase I was told really early on, and it was, don't bang the other reps, only bang the guests, because the guests go home. And I know that's really crude, folks, right? And apologies, but they're there for a week or 2 weeks, and then they go back home. You're working with these other people for months and years. So again, presidents, couple of years, at most 2 terms, and they're gone. 3-star generals, 30, 40, 50 years, deep.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense to me that those guys probably look down on presidents and congressmen and senators. That's the way I look at it. Could be totally wrong, but I just don't think presidents get the briefing because the people probably don't even see them half the time.
So don't bang Trump, you bang Clapper, is what you're saying.
Clapper.
Clapper.
Yay, chlamydia.
I would add something there that, just because presidents have these 4 and 8 year terms, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're out. Like if you look at anybody that's in the intelligence community, they will tell you, CIA agents will tell you, like John Ramirez and all these guys, they're never out. They constantly have to check in if they travel anywhere. They have to let their, handler know what's going on, like that. They're still in the intelligence community and they still retain clearances, possibly even higher tickets than when they were sort of working officially. So I would say if you're at the highest level, like the president, you probably start gaining more access to things once you're out of office, potentially. Like, and maybe not every president, but maybe those who, can help whatever's happening. And I would say, Bush probably, and also Obama being, he's diplomatically very savvy. And so that might be a really good asset for them. Hey, go on these talk shows, whatever it is, say these things. Like, I would think that some of them would at least retain some sort of, IC connection after the presidency.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Safe bet. Yeah, safe bet.
And there's also a lot of value in not revealing what you know. Like, the more secrets people think you have, and the more, the deeper your knowledge seems to go. When you choose to reveal it, being very strategic about who you reveal it to and what you say. Like, Obama's a master at that. Trump just gives everything up because he's just so easy to read. But Obama's like, he's just, yeah. I mean, it's like you said, he's media savvy, and Bill Clinton was like that. Same thing. Same kind of like.
I liked Bush Jr.'s response, but Jimmy Kimmel too. He was like, "I'm not telling you nothing." I like that.
Bush Jr. had charisma, but he was not media savvy.
Yeah, he's not smart enough to like have that conversation. He's just like, don't ask.
But he's kind of funny, and it's fun to watch him. He never knew what he was going to do.
Fool me once.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You say "fill me" or "fool me"?
No, what was the full quote?
Back to the repping days, yeah.
You can't get fooled again.
That's what goes on at the Dreamland Motel.
Oh my God.
So speaking of presidents, obviously the hugest news is the UAP files came out. We had Donald Trump himself post a couple hours ago on Truth Social. I'll read this, Clint. Don't worry.
Go right ahead.
I know you don't want to.
But you have to do it in the Dreamland voice, though.
No, do it in Trump's voice. No, don't.
I'm not.
As for my promise.
As for my promise to you, the Department of War has released the first tranche of UFO/UAP files to the public for their review and study. In an effort for complete and maximum transparency, it was my honour to direct my administration to identify and provide government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and unidentified flying objects. Whereas previous this is the thing, just leave them alone. Don't talk about the previous administration, it's fine. Whereas previous administrations have failed to be transparent on this subject, with these new documents and videos, the people can decide for themselves what the hell is going on, to quote Terence McKenna right there. Didn't know he was a fan. Have fun and enjoy, President Donald James Trump.
Have fun.
Terrence who?
Impressive vernacular on Don there, using the word tranche.
By the way, he's never heard that word before in his life. We all know that. Someone's
that
like,
wild that he let that one slide.
Oh,
how do you
I
spell
just
it?
lost
Flagrant
30% of subs.
disregard for capital letters there as well on that message. The capital letters are thrown in like so spuriously. It's fantastic. I wonder if it spells something out. Do you think if you look back on that message and you read all the capital letters, it's like aliens are real, I've been lying to you?
Spells
let's just go through that, guys. Like, how do you feel about? I mean, the first obvious thing that jumps to mind is you're not going to tell us anything. You're just going to let people decide for themselves. Well, is that really fucking helpful?
That's not leadership.
That's not just throwing a bunch of photos out the back of a fucking moving car so that we don't think about the other shit that's going on. This is like the Joker throwing money at the parade in Batman. You know what I mean?
Just
it's like
screaming transparency.
Yeah, and it's like, well, it doesn't. We want an answer from you, not just pictures of dots. That doesn't really get us anywhere. I mean,
and I did cackle when he said maximum transparency, like the Epstein files, right?
Sure.
Yeah, one at a time, though. One at a time. UFOs first, then we deal with that. Maybe it's
Literally.
connected.
Wild. The other thing is too is that like he does have constituents that he has to like appease, right? And so him saying they're real automatically, you get all the demon people, worked up, and so he's probably strategically not saying, trying to keep as many people happy as possible politically.
And he also said alien and extraterrestrial again, specifically. No NHS talk, none of that in there.
Words.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Who is this dump for, though? Can I ask people that? Who is this actually for? Because I think, and I hate using
that's what I ask myself every time.
The UFO community, right? But this, I don't think this is for. Yeah. Who does number 2 work for? Like the UFO community, I think this is for them. And it's not. This is for the general public. This is a public release. So for me, there's a little bit of plausible deniability with the whole, here's what we've got. Because I think one way to get around that whole thing of we're going to have to go back and hold South Africa type courts and put people on a stand to say you were guilty of this cover up in 1979, and some old dude is there on the stand like falling to pieces. Or, you've been guilty of X, Y, and Z. The public won't care about that. Some people in the UFO community, this is all my opinion, some will, the public won't. The public will be like, holy shit, aliens are real. That's it. And things will move forward. They're not going to look back at the cover-up. They're not going to care about the cover-up. It'll be what this means for them, the impact, the consequences, and how life changes going forward, not retribution. So for me, the way you do that as a government, quote unquote, is look what we found. Let's get this stuff out. Oh, look, here's some more interesting stuff. Burchett today said, he was asked a question about how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how does he rate this first release? And he said, this is just the beginning. This is simple, basically. The holy cow stuff is still to come in future releases. So you build it up that way. You've got the media attention. This hasn't touched the UK for anyone interested. For what I've seen today, there's local UK elections. Ander, you're nodding along. You can see that as well, mate. Yeah, that this hasn't touched the UK news cycle. And I don't think it will. Outside of a couple of minutes here and there, we would need more. We need 4K pictures. We need potential bodies being shown. We need grush levels of testimony to come forward. It's a good start, but I think this is literally the flowering water for the cake. We're not even touching the icing yet.
That's a really insightful analysis, Andy.
I hope so.
That was great.
I hope so.
Agree.
Right.
What we've heard from Burchett, Burleson, and Luna is, and there may be those on X that just say they're either lying or they're misunderstanding the briefings they're getting or something, stuff like that. But I do believe they're being genuine, and I know they wouldn't be fooled by this level of, this is like interesting stuff, particularly the NASA photos, which we can share in a little bit, but they wouldn't call this revelatory because they know it's not. They are members of Congress. They're not complete idiots. I'm willing to bet that the level of evidence that they've seen is probably an order of magnitude or two more interesting than this, and I'm wondering if they're genuinely expecting what they specifically know to now be disclosed in due course, and if it's not, do they have a plan in place to protest that decision in some way? I don't know. That would be awesome if they did.
It's also interesting. I don't know if it's probably coincidental, but also the fact that so many things in this space are seem to be like surfacing or getting to the top. Just had obviously Age of Disclosure. After that, the Bob Lazar stuff. After that, we get so many amazing interviews from Jesse, which each one feels earth shattering and groundbreaking. And then after that, we get Jeremy Corbell coming out with this new documentary, which has got a lot of stuff in there too. I can say, I know Dan, you can probably say the same.
Yeah, sure.
And it doesn't feel coincidental. It feels like everything's sort of culminating right now, and it's sort of ripping at the seams. And what we're seeing, to echo what Andy said, is maybe just like a little bit of that seam sort of ripping right now. And we might be in for, some real stuff real soon, very fast.
I'm glad to hear you phrase it that way too, because I've been feeling that way for a long time. That it does feel like there's a ramp up, and I watched this clip of just real quick of Dan Aykroyd and Joe Rogan talking about this from like 6 years ago the other day, and it's so dated. You can feel the conversation is just so flat because we know so much more in just the last 5 years. If it keeps going, I mean, at some point, does the dam just burst? I mean, where does it culminate? How high does this go?
Clint, a big indication for me that this conversation is getting real is when Russia and China get involved openly in it, because you can't just have this be the US releasing documents and no one else around the world says anything. And I mean the superpowers, not the Five Eyes Agreement, alliance. I mean like the real superpowers to come out and say, we're going to make a comment, we're going to do something, we're going to release this. That's when it becomes real. Before then, I think it's still under the radar, pardon the pun. You would need to see Russia and China make some kind of comments.
I could imagine China making a public statement. I don't think Russia makes that. I don't see that happening, but
I just don't speak Russian or Chinese, so it'd be lost on me, I think, for the most part.
I think you could see... It would make sense. Like in my head, I could see a timeline where China says, okay, we have the most automated production, line on the planet. All of our factories are roboticized now. We have advanced AGI, we're kind of living 30 years in the future anyway, in many places, not everywhere, but certainly it would be a great opportunity to cement the next century as the century of this rising Chinese power. If you came forward and you were like, guess what? We figured it out. We've got flying cars, or we've got, I don't know, whatever, something. I could see that, or we've made contact, like the three body problem, right? Like we just have, we've established a dialogue with an off-world intelligence.
I guess that if we made contact, if that happened and deals were made or agreements or something, wouldn't you think that maybe each country did something separately, probably, and that may be an issue?
Sure.
Would then
Star
that
Trek
be different entities though, or are we all making contact?
That's the question. That's the question. It's like if they made different deals or agreements, was it with different groups? And what did those different groups want? What are their motivations? Each of them.
Those agreements may not jive together. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this whole notion of the deal has something to do with reptilians eating humans?
Love it.
It is fascinating.
Actually, can we stop really quick? Can we, Chris? Can we talk about your promo for the tour that you just like showed the other day with the baby?
The baby? What the fuck, bro?
That was the funniest fucking shit I've ever seen.
As fuck, bro.
I spit coffee all over my.
What is wrong with you, Chris? You were like,
oh my god. Can we show that to people at some? Not now, but like at some point, can we just show that because it was the funniest shit ever, and I think people need to see it.
I think it's good to have fun. I like injecting a bit of whimsy into this topic, especially on a Doomer Friday.
Yeah.
It looks so good. I was like, oh my God, how did he do it? So we know that we're going to have more tranches released in the coming weeks and months. Okay. They're not telling us what to think about it. We're going to think about it and come to our own conclusions, I guess. Do you think there's a connection between that and this idea of like creating this whole sub conversation about demons? You know, that seems to be as all of this other stuff moves forward, that seems to be gaining more momentum. Do you think there's something going on there?
That doesn't translate again outside the US for a lot of people.
Really?
Like in the UK,
Really?
that conversation will not float. Again, I'll ask Xander to come in there, but if you come to the UK and talk about demons and angels, people will laugh at you regardless of who you are.
Xander, you just said that, right?
Dude. We love
who was
here.
Didn't you have
I was getting a haircut like 2 days ago, and my barber is a really good friend of mine. I was in a band with him for a number of years, and he's just getting into all this stuff. So, and obviously he's comfortable. He's in his own shop, so he's like talking as loud as normal about UFOs and like Jim Carrey being a doppelganger and things like that. And I'm trying to respond in a serious way because I take this very seriously. And then I've got what looks like some sort of solicitor sat two chairs down. I could see him staring at me in the mirror, just like, what?
Somebody on a day pass from the hospital. Yeah.
And he was like trying not to smirk at me, but he was like, I could feel his accusations from across the room. Because he knew for a fact this was all rubbish, and that's what it is. That's the response you get, largely in the UK. I find so far.
I mean,
they
in
know
Mexico,
it's rubbish.
More diverse. To Andy's point, like there's demon talk too, but there's also talk about luces and like nahuales, skinwalkers, and all that stuff, and people believe in that stuff. So, but yeah, the demon talk. It's stronger in the US, I think.
Maybe that's how we get disclosure, is like lean into that, you know. There's so many people apparently gatekeeping this stuff that don't want it out because they're, we're dealing with demons. What if that's what they're doing? Playing like some 40 chess big brain move where they're like, no, it is demons, guys. It is demons. And then finally these old guys are like, see, all right, release the files. It's demons. We were talking about demons the whole time. Maybe we just lean into the demon stuff for a bit and see where it goes.
That's brilliant. I actually think you're onto something, because that is a voting block that is like very homogenous. It seems to be like they will unite around an issue, and then if they can get a common understanding across states, like you can count on that group, and conservative politicians in this country generally do, and it works. It swings entire elections, and we see it all the time, every election cycle. I could see some kind of a strategy where they're like, look, we really need to switch these people on and get them to agitate for a little bit more. Maybe it's conservative districts where they have to lean on their member of Congress or their representative a little harder. I don't know. Maybe there's something to that.
Except the messaging has been, if it's demons, to leave it alone. You don't want to mess with that. It's kind of a way it's a way to kill it without actually investigating it. Like, just leave it alone. They're demons. Don't fuck with them, please. Don't poke the bear. Let's move on to other stuff. That's what it feels like.
Interesting. What about you guys?
We need some exorcists and like we need like a ragtag team of like priests or something to like investigate this. I think
Christian intelligence. That's what it is. Yeah.
That's
like the Avengers of like the pastors and like send them into the giving fields.
This is sounds like something from The Boys. But yeah.
When it comes to the demons, my uncle used to run with an exorcist for a couple decades. Well, my godfather, sorry, Ricardo. And I've talked to him a couple of times about this, and he says there's something really weird. I'm like, some of them are like probably mental illness, he told me, but there are some cases where they do speak in weird languages and they make a different voice. And I'm like, so that's a demon? He's like, I don't know what it is, but that's how the church frames it. They think it's a demon. But like, I mean, that kind of thing is real. It's very rare, but it happens, you know? So,
are we talking about the same thing with two different types of like vocabulary? I mean, in the same, as a religious person might call it a demon. Are we just talking about something that exists in a shadow biosphere that's like invisible to our five senses, that has access to us, that we can't access it directly, and so it can take advantage of, you know, I don't know, your energy
I lean more towards our brains being the antennas, and some brains pick up other things that some other brains can't. And I think that might be what's happening, you know, that they're picking up
similar
stuff.
to how a channeler would work.
Yeah, or like what Dr. Gary Nolan is doing with his work with the codeputainment. Like and John Keel spoke about the super spectrum. There's people who have more proclivities to see more parts of that super spectrum than others. And I correlated to, and I think Chris and I spoke about this, to like trauma and like really strong experiences that enable some of these, this antenna going wider. I don't know how else to put it, you know, but I think that might be something to that.
Like Pavel's point with like a radio. So if you in your local area, like everyone can pick up the local radio station, but if someone's got a really good radio, they can pick up signals from further away. So they can pick up a different station. Sometimes you pick up a cross wire. Sometimes you pick up a frequency that's just floating around in the air from World War II, or some pilot once sent a radio message out and your antenna one day picks it up. And I think that's essentially it. We're receivers, and some people can be susceptible to different things. And the Disclosure Day trailer from Spielberg, the big selling point, one of the big selling points across all the trailers, is Emily Blunt doing the weather report, and she starts, you know, clicking and ticking, and then the voice comes through. So is that a demon? Is that channeling? Is it an alien taking over? Or is that all, to your point, Clint, the same thing? And it's just through decades and centuries been interpreted depending on the person's in Mexico, Scotland, the US, Canada, and it's all the same thing.
And my godfather did tell me that in the rarest cases where he was present, there were sometimes that shit just started levitating or floating and moving, shit like that. And it just, like, I think it's related to that too, to like fucking, you know, the brain.
Magician.
Well, it's definitely the brain. I mean, look at people that get like traumatic brain injuries, who then all of a sudden can speak different fluent languages, and they've never been taught a day in their life after an injury. So maybe it is something in the brain that just picks up something that not everyone can pick up.
Or like that lady in the UK that woke up with a Chinese accent.
Right. Yes.
So funny.
Incredible. So inspiring.
Only in the UK. Yeah. I still think on her deathbed, someone's going to ask her, how did it happen? And she'll just wink and die. And it's been the long game the whole time.
I play you.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'm actually interested to talk to Diane Hennessy Powell at Contact about telepathy, and if there are any ideas about how that would work in practical terms. Like if everybody's thoughts are being transmitted and received all the time, then that would be overwhelming. There's got to be some way, but we also hear that, like, you know, between telepaths, it seems like there is no real privacy, but that's also not an issue. Is it like range dependent? Is it like, how do you decide how many people you're going to communicate with at once? How does all that work? That's something I'd be really interested to learn.
our interpretation of it isn't probably accurate at all. Like, I mean, because you hear things like, oh no, it's not words, it's not images, it's like impressions or whatever that means, right? But how can you just rely on an impression and know that to be what it is you're receiving and not just part of your imagination? So there is something that we don't understand about it. But then there's all the other work that Diane Powell did as well, which was she worked with like schizophrenics and people who had like she was deeply into psychiatry and how the brain works. And she even told me that like she would work with people who were clearly living in a different reality, complete schizophrenics who were adhering to a different reality than we are, but then would somehow prove that their reality was real in some way, whether that's bringing something to her or something. And she told me about this. And I thought that was just so interesting because now I think the narrative that we create around telepathy and psi ability is so limiting versus what it could be interacting with, a sublayer of reality might be so foreign to us in terms of like reaching into a different reality and pulling things out of it. Like that might all be part of that phenomenon and not simply just, hearing someone speak English in your mind,
Well, I guess that is also a question I have is like, how is it a teachable skill? Is it inherent to most or all people? Is it something that biologically, everybody's equipped to do, but maybe like everyone's equipped to swim, you won't be an Olympic athlete, not everyone, but we could all swim more or less. And how do you, if you were to teach it, or if you could teach it, how do you teach people how to differentiate between your own internal monologue, your own thoughts and feelings, impressions that just spring forth spontaneously, and when someone is actually directly sending you something that's not you? That's the thing I always have trouble with. It's like, how do these little kids just inherently understand this?
Yeah.
Has she ever discussed that? Have you guys ever heard her discuss that?
Dr. Julia Mossbridge has. She made a recent claim that she thinks that 99% of people can remote view at different levels, but she thinks that. And then there's also the whole genes that Dr. Dean Radin was studying from that have like they're from the Holy Inquisition time, that whole gene that is gone from people. And that 60% of people he found do have it. And the other 40 are from that era in time and from those families. You trace them back to them. So based on that, the majority, I think, do have this, but how to teach it, I keep thinking that it has to do with traumatic experiences and just experiences in general that teach the brain
how to... What's the trauma connection, though? I don't understand why that's so critical.
Bad. I mean, it probably has to do with survival, right?
You think?
Yeah, like a suppressed survival instinct. So if you're looking to survive, if you're like, let's say, part of the universe and the universe's goal is to like thrive and conceive and to perpetuate itself, then you have to kind of line up everything on your side to be able to survive. And sometimes that might be just skewing probability in favor of your survival ever so little. And that might be getting a subtle hint of what's about to come. You speak to guys like George St. Pierre, who's, mastered the art of fighting. And in these high pressure situations where there's a lot of stress, where he's in the middle of, 30,000 people watching him fight, he says that there's a point where he feels that he knows what's going to happen as it happens. And he doesn't know whether that's deduction from the thousands of hours of practice, or is it precognitive? Like, does he see it just a split second before due to the high stress, due to the fact that like he's got like these instincts to survive? And Joe McMoneagle talks about that as well, that like in the past, these shamans and everything else, like they would be the most revered of a society because they were the ones to tell you, hey, don't go down that road, you're going to get killed, or dig here for water. So it was always survival dependent, these psi abilities. And over time, they've probably been suppressed and muted and still, exist on a very faint level. And then we look at like the random number generator at the Princeton Psychological Lab, that you can affect through intention these very minor sort of fluctuations, in the standard deviation of this machine. And so again, I think it might be really subtle, and it might have to do, like, the only time you can measure it is when your life is in danger. Because then,
or when you're going through a really strong psychedelic experience, for example.
Sure.
Which I have.
Yep.
Might be a similar response, though.
Maybe like
similar. Yeah, exactly.
Overload the nervous system, and then you can like hard reset into some kind of new. You can reboot into some kind of new.
But also, I think you're dying.
Right. That's the maybe you have to be convinced you're going to die.
When you have these ego deaths, like you literally think, "Oh my God, I'm dead. I'm dying. What's happening?"
But it also sounds like, and sorry, Andy, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to just say this before I forget. One of the things you were just talking about, Chris, it sounds like flow state is almost more important than trauma. Like flow state is where you get that half a second insight just before it happens. I mean, and I think most people do experience that at some point or another, right?
That comes with coherence, I think.
Coherence. Like meditating coherence? Like, what do you mean?
Or being able to affect what's about to happen.
Sure.
In like, because again, if you look at the random number generator, it's not predictive. It seems like we're affecting reality. We're affecting physical reality through the non-physical, and on a very small scale, but perhaps in certain states of mind or in certain circumstances, you're able to do that.
You know that idea, Clint, when you're in that flow state stuff is exactly what I was thinking. When you choose to be here, if that's how this comes around, that your consciousness decides you want this human experience or whatever it may be, okay? I like that idea that you're a part of an ocean and you take a cup of water out and you go round and explore the earth for 80 years, then you throw the water back in the ocean and become part of it again. Maybe it's like when you come here, you close a door behind you, you forget everything, you forget what you're a part of, you have this human experience. This trauma, these events, psychedelics, they open the door and it never fully closes again. And I think that's where maybe some of these people get these, whether it's near-death experiences, even, for example, they seem susceptible to these events happening because the door to whatever is on the other side never fully closed, and it just allows them to have that peek through. And I've always kind of liked that interpretation of it.
Or maybe it's like that 5 minute mile or whatever it was, where like once you do it, you can't not do it. Like, and then you know what I mean?
It's kind of built into you.
Yeah.
So I want to ask Sander, what's like the better video that came out today in the files?
Let's get into it.
You think is the best one? You know, like
it was good to see the video that sort of clarifies Corbell's image from 2 years ago, the Chandelier video. I'm sure I have that prepared somewhere. I think, look, most, let's not sugarcoat it, most of the videos were just dots going like zip. Like, they could have been a lot of different things. Like, so Mick West is going to have a field day. Like, he's probably feeling quite happy for the most part.
Who cares?
And that's fine. That's fine.
I don't think he's ever quite happy.
Yeah, I couldn't care.
To be fair, at least one of them I can't even see the UFO in the video. There's one of them I'm looking at a landscape. I think it's 12 seconds long, and it repeats, and I'm like, I can't see what I'm meant to be looking at. I am colorblind, so maybe that's a part of it.
Open your third eye, homie. Open your third eye, dude.
You open some kind of eye for it.
I agree with Sander, by the way. I think I think there's one that I saw, which was
it the 90-degree one?
Yeah, had one of the 5 observables. It was literally just like 90 degree at 80 miles an hour. And I don't care what type of vehicle you're manning, unless it might be a drone, I guess, maybe in that case, but I don't know.
Do we know what year it's from?
It's like 2020 something.
Oh, so
I like their graphic design on the website.
Yeah, it's
slick.
I really wish I'd prepared. I had the video pulled up like not long ago, and for some reason it's disappeared. But
so
our Discord is lighting up too with people posting links. Let me see if I can go in the Discord here.
That's the Chandelier one, I think.
The videos are all on the DVIDS website as well, like on one page, so you don't have to go through this.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll get that. Maybe we should just show the Apollo images first, because I do have those.
Yeah, let's go through the Apollo
stuff. That was really interesting. So it's strange that if this was such a nothing burger, why were these classified? Like, I'd like some information about, like, were these photos actively declassified for this release, or were they just floating around unclassified on some server somewhere?
Well, that's a great,
I was
great
under
question.
the impression that everything in this release had to go through a declassification process.
According to Hegseth, yes. They have started a process. So Hegseth, actually the statement should be up on the website too. It's all time stamped out. But he said they had to go through each batch. A lot of these are only on paper. They're just not digital copies at all. So they have to manually by hand go through all of those.
Yeah.
And every week or two, they're going to release a big drop. So we got to stay on them about that and see how that goes.
Effectively, we have maybe 5 photos from across various different Apollo missions. And if you've seen like the high quality image, it's actually a point of conspiracy in the past where there's no stars visible. And people are always like, why is the sky so black? Because they're in the vacuum of space. And it's obviously a consequence of the fact that the lunar surface is so bright that it's completely blanking out the stars. Because they had to have the cameras set up in a specific way for them to actually just capture anything, because the surface was so bright in contrast. But we've basically got those photos, but with multiple artifacts in many of them. Some of them are more compelling than others, but this is the first one. Some sort of strange cylindrical shape on that one. You guys.
That's the big. They're just rubbing it.
What we were all thinking.
Rubbing it in.
ASOS rocket.
One of these in particular I found really interesting, but yeah, just dots in the sky. Like they weren't capturing stars on these photos. They just simply weren't. They weren't set up for that. But the only thing I'm trying to rationalize it with is ionized radiation hitting the camera sensor, perhaps. But then you get to at the end of the day, I have looked this up, and they did try their best to protect. They tried to protect the camera and the film from that, so they did make some protections against that stuff. So that's just one idea, but this one in particular, that's a triangle UFO.
We know that shape.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it not, Chris? I saw Chris's message today. They were, and the most interesting thing for me isn't even that's the best image, but the fact that they're investigating these with a view to release results to say they're going to NASA, they've got the original image, and they're going to look and use whatever techniques they can to work out, is there an actual image there? Is this a reflection? Is it dust? Is it something else? That's really interesting to me that they're actually following up on some of this stuff. That's an old picture. We've seen that before. Some of us have. It's not secret, but the actual work off the back of it is really important. Same thing with Jake Barber, Skywatcher. The legacy and the impact fell in its arse, so it's no longer important. Sol, Galileo Project, any of these organizations that come forward, it's the impact and legacy, not what they do, it's what they produce. And if that picture is what this caucus has done, that's fine. But what's it going to produce off the back of it? And if they can come forward and say, do you know what? Using X, Y, and Z techniques, there is an object there. Those are not stars. That is not dust. That is not ionized radiation like Xander hopes. You know, there is something there that's tangible. Xander West. So yeah, like there's something there that's worth investigating. That for me would be really cool to come off the back of this.
Also, someone took that picture, and that was only in the 60s and 70s. That person could still be alive. You could ask them, were you shooting something? Were you taking a picture of those lights, or did you find the lights after the exposures?
It also raises the question of how competent is NASA in under any administration, because we heard what's his name, the NASA administrator a couple of years ago, Bill Nelson, in Florida, say, well, we're going to get right down to the bottom of this. You bet your bottom dollar we're going to get the answers here for you. But all this we never heard from him again.
Yeah, he also said we don't know what's on the dark side of the moon.
We don't know what's on the we don't know anything really. And then here we're finding all these photos. They obviously had them clearly. And then someone in the chat here with the amazing rockstar account name of Clint's Mustache wants to know, how do we feel about Arrow being connected to the release? And that is in fact my actual mustache. So thanks for screen grabbing the mustache.
That's
we'll talk
amazing.
about. That's pretty amazing.
Someone
so how do we
superimpose Clint? Someone needs to put that picture of your mustache in the back of one of those NASA photos, so they've zoomed in the background it's your mustache just hovering in the dark abyss.
I knew it the whole time.
Okay, meme team, let's make it happen. You heard.
By the way, this thing has contrails. Does that concern
Yeah,
anybody else?
Yeah,
I just noticed that.
It has contrails, and it also, I don't know if this is just an artifact from refraction or lens reflection, but there seems to be a parasail shaped object attached to this. So right there, it comes in, and it kind of looks like a parachute. Right, like it's attached to it.
Strange
like what
that it's sideways.
Yeah, it is, but maybe it's like spiraling out of control in the wind or something. I don't know. I just interesting thing. Probably just light.
Chris, that looks like something in the lens. Yeah,
that is a fan, and I wouldn't be shocked if that was a parachute. This is not a UFO. This is not a UAP.
Yeah,
bin this video next.
It's
I'm
not impressed by the. Initially it's the most striking one visually because you're like, oh my god, it looks eldritch. Like I don't even know what to make of this. And then you see the contrails, you see the movement isn't really. It's kind of wonky. So I tend to agree that might just be prosaic.
Documents and photos are interesting though.
The problem is though, interesting. Yes, and to Chris's point, it's the most striking. So that's the one the media is going to show. So see when that one gets debunked. It's the easiest one to call bullshit and everything else because that's the one they'll lead with. And that's where I get frustrated. Same with the Hellfire missile thing. I know some of us disagree on that. That one being shown at the hearing was the worst possible thing because that was a Hellfire missile hitting a prosaic object. And it's what the media ran with. And it took away from all the really great testimony from Knapp & Co. at that. So again, we've got stuff in there that, they've dumped everything. But for me, that's a really, really obvious fan on potentially parasail type thing.
Real fast, guys. I'm sorry to cut you off, Andy. I just want to drop this before we get too much farther along in the show. We have blown away our record, guys. We're almost at 3,000 live viewers right now. This is unbelievable. So huge shout out to everybody that's here participating in this amazing conversation with our panel. If you really want to be cool, do us all a favor and like this stream, hit the like button, and also wherever you're streaming it, whether it's through this channel or through one of our other restreams that we're restreaming it across all of our channels, please, if you're not already a subscriber or a follower, subscribe, follow, support this community of creators. We are all trying to cover this in the best possible way that we know how. So help us out. And we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, well done, everyone. Yeah, that's
pick up a copy of. I've got mine right here, the Atlas of Unidentified Flying Objects by Andy.
What are the good files in here? Anyone know any good files in this thing?
Yes.
Can I read one to you real quick? It's really short.
I'm gonna get up and get a beer, and I'll be right back, guys.
Oh, that's a good idea, actually. So. Do we wait for Clint or should I read it?
No.
Dude, it's better without him. Just go.
It says a few witnesses have reported seeing crewmen who had landed from the objects who are described as 3.5 to 4 feet tall, wearing what appeared to be spacesuits and helmets. Author Edwards includes this book with a prediction that in the near future, UFOs will make an overt landing or deliberate contact with Earth. A copy of this letter is being directed to Denver in view of the contract awarded to Dr. Edward U. Condon. The above is being called to the Bureau's attention in view of the press report of mounting pressure for a civilian-controlled investigative agency to handle UFO matters.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
There's a lot of those letters of like people reaching out to the president, being like, it is crazy to see how early on UFO fever started. Because if you look at the 1947 documents, and I read through like a few of these, they're like, I know the answer. Mr. President, you have to believe me. I'm talking to these Martians right now and they're going to land soon. Like there's a lot of that. There's even channeling. There's like messages of channeling like immediately after Roswell, which is very strange. But some of the really good documents, one is Socorro. There is a thoroughly Yes, it is thoroughly. It is Lonnie Zamora's entire testimony with his sketches. Ooh. It talks about everything he saw. The person who took the call at the police station. There's his testimony as well, and then there is Kenneth Arnold's entire statement and testimony, but also four other people around the same time, Kenneth Arnold, and two of which were also pilots, one of them Air Force, I think, who also witnessed flying saucers at that time. So we have more sort of corroborating evidence prior to Roswell of flying saucers being spotted by credible witnesses. So
very
really
cool.
Interesting stuff. Yeah.
So it sounds like there's better stuff. There's better like written files than there is imagery.
There seems to be a lot of BS in there too. Sure. But within that, I think there's some really good, interesting.
The
things.
Twining memo also dropped, by the way.
What do you mean?
We've had that one. We've had that forever.
Yeah, but like just finally see it right here.
Cool.
You know,
okay.
It dropped.
So this was a Department of War document. This one was. I know what you're talking about, Chris, is mainly the FBI and stuff getting letters from a lot of the time, a lot of crackpots and things like that. I don't know how the Department of War works in terms of how it treats received mail and things like that. This one was classified top secret, and it doesn't read like somebody who just saw something, but I'll read it and it's quite interesting. And thanks, Pavel, for finding this, or for having somebody find it for you. For some time, we've been concerned by the recurring reports on flying saucers. They periodically continue to crop up. I believe there's a little tiny R there. During the last week, one was observed hovering over Newbyberg Air Base for about 30 minutes. They've been reported by so many sources and from such a variety of places that we are convinced that they cannot be disregarded and must be explained on some basis, which is perhaps slightly beyond the scope of our present intelligence thinking. Then it says, when officers from this directorate, which is interesting, recently visited the Swedish Air Intelligence Service, this question was put to the Swedes. Their answer was that some reliable and fully technically qualified people have reached the conclusion that these phenomena are obviously the result of a high technical skill which cannot be credited to any presently known culture on Earth.
Wow.
They are therefore assuming that these objects originate from some previously unknown or unidentified technology, possibly outside Earth. One of these objects was observed by a Swedish technical expert near his home on the edge of a lake. The object crashed or landed in the lake, and he carefully noted its azimuth from his point of observation. Swedish intelligence was sufficiently confident in his observation that a naval salvage team was sent to the lake. Operations were underway during the visit of USAF officers. So I'm reading that Air Force officers were there when the divers were there. Divers had discovered a previously uncharted crater on the floor of the lake. No further information is available, but we've been promised knowledge of the results. In their opinion, the observation was reliable, and they believe that the depression on the floor of the lake, which did not appear on current hydrographic charts, was in fact caused by a flying saucer. That's a cool doc. I like that stuff. Awesome. Although accepting this theory of origin of these objects poses a whole new group of questions and puts much of our thinking in a changed light, we're inclined not to discredit entirely this somewhat spectacular theory. Meantime, keeping an open mind on the subject, what are your reactions? So I don't
changed.
There's not enough context here, but is in 1948.
The Swedes already figured it out.
And that's prior to as soon as Eisenhower, it feels like, gets involved, and the transfer of documents from Carter, or even when Carter, is there to some extent, everything seems to get incredibly suppressed as of 1950. 1947, 48, there's still like these lingering notions of, there's flying saucers. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, but it's nothing. We've got, committees set up. There's even a document in there that shows all the questions that they should ask, that the Air Force should ask witnesses to figure out what it was. And so you can already see a framework for the modern Blue Book or Grudge or Sign or whatever start to take shape in sort of understanding what this is, and then eventually, covering it up.
And can we address the elephant in the room a little bit? Because NASA has always been on the same, we don't have anything. We don't have anything. There's nothing. And then on the first drop, a lot of stuff was shown. And,
I mean, is anyone surprised?
Not such a paragon of transparency, right?
It begs the question, though, who is NASA? Again, it's an organization of thousands of people. So again, do you have CIA folks present at NASA who over the decades have basically made sure anything that's relevant, surely when these guys are doing their missions and they've got the live feeds, not what we see, the actual live feed, you've got people who are there in normal jobs, who are CIA, for example, and they are literally reporting back minute by minute what's going on, cut that. They can pull the plug on stuff. And the higher-ups, those feeds are all being monitored, surely to God, somewhere else. Langley.
It was recently reframed as a spy agency too, an intel agency. So
correct.
So yeah, I think 99% of the folks at NASA don't have anything.
What do you make of the of course there's the Gary McKinnon NASA hack, and then there's the accounts of what were their names, the people who worked in the photo labs that claimed they were airbrushing. I mean, they're what those guys were saying is not small stuff at all. Like huge ships, clear as day. Is if we're getting this stuff now, is what Gary McKinnon talked about 30 years ago still in there somewhere and maybe to be released, or some piece of that possibly comes out?
I'd drop that picture and I'd do like the 90s computer thing.
Oh, the loading. Yep.
That's how I would drop it. The same one.
Did you guys ever hear about the Gemini 11 sighting?
Yep. The photo?
The Ed Wilson sort of lithograph that was I have a book covering that, and it's really interesting. If you look at Gemini 11 UFO, there was a photo that was in the back. So some guy, Ed Wilson, bought a ton of stuff off of I don't even know if it was Ed Wilson. Regardless, Simpkinson Archive, exactly. He bought a ton of stuff.
That huge book, that massive book.
Yeah, exactly. Massive book, and it's all about sort of this. Yes, exactly. Well, if you want to show just the cover of it, you can see.
Doesn't Travis Taylor? Didn't he co-write that one?
He did. Leslie Kane did as well, and so did Kevin Knuth. I don't think they're convinced that it's anything spectacular, but because it says UFO as seen by the Gemini 11.
Yeah.
And it's very, very clear when you look at it, like, oh, it's a flying saucer. But I'm surprised, that nothing came out about that. They skipped Roswell. They skipped Aztec. If you look at March 1948, the last thing is like March 22nd, 1948, and then it jumps to like September. And so there's a giant gap of where Aztec would have happened on March 25th and like all the subsequent sort of, communications. So there is strategically, I think, a lot of things that have been extracted and, not released. And they gave us sort of the surface level stuff, like Andy was saying, like for the general public.
Did you guys,
what was it Corbell said? Corbell said, he tweeted, didn't he, yesterday?
What did he say?
Yeah.
He said, this is the first of many, and it's deliberately going to ramp up, start off with the lighter stuff, and then hopefully progressively get a bit heavier over time. And that correlates with the impression I get from Luna, Burchett, and Burleson.
So who's behind coordinating this effort? Like who is the mastermind at the top? It's all Sandy.
Fucking knew it.
I mean, that's one question. You have Grush going on this. What podcast was it? It was a very specific podcast.
Judicial Watch,
giving a very detailed explanation of what people can like expect from this process, and then saying it's going to ramp up over the next 60 to 90 days.
Can I just correct that, Clint? Because from my understanding, he wasn't necessarily overawed with this process or the coming 46 videos. So the 46 videos are going to drop in the next batch, apparently, in the next week or two. What Grush kind of said was, basically, I've seen most of those videos, and some of them are sort of interesting. However, the work I'm trying to do is based off of files and intel community officers, whistleblowers. So he almost alluded for me, and I don't know if Pavel or Cole can come in on this, but it wasn't this stuff that he was particularly blown away with. It was the other stuff that's coming.
And he did say it's 60 to 90 days, so that's the time frame he wants,
Andy, are you saying that what Grush is doing is separate from, like, this is a separate effort along a different path that he's trying to do?
Yeah, it came across to me like what is being dropped isn't necessarily anything that's going to bring forward disclosure, and that there's far more interesting stuff that can be done and is being done that's going to make a bigger difference, and that this stuff's fine, but it's the appetizer before the main course.
Do you guys, did you talk, while I was away, did you talk about Arrow being connected to this? What your thoughts are on that?
No.
What do you guys think about that?
So I got a scoop yesterday about that, and I'll just talk about it a little bit. I dropped that because I was talking to somebody who is connected to people who are still active at Arrow. And it was like they were very excited when they were telling me this. They told me that NASA stuff was going to drop. And they made it seem like it was going to drop on Arrow, but it didn't. It dropped into the Department of War website. And Luna wants to sort of disband Arrow, I think, but I don't know if that's such a great idea. I think there's a couple of people from Arrow and that no longer are there who were obstructing with a lot of this stuff. But what I'm getting is that there's people in there who really didn't like what Kirkpatrick was doing and were against Kirkpatrick. And Luna wants to disband the whole thing. I don't know. And there's a lot of those videos that came from Arrow, a lot of what was dropped today came from them too. The grainy stuff, of course, but yeah.
Right.
I get the idea of disbanding it, or at least needs to be renamed or rebranded, because I think we're so soured on the idea of Arrow that something needs to be switched.
Would that not be the third or fourth rebranding though? And that's a bit of an issue.
Well, maybe it's not a rebrand. Maybe they just need a fucking win, like deliver.
Well, yeah.
Come out and deliver something for people, and then everybody loves a winner. Once you do that, we'll get behind it and follow it. But for now, they need to earn back, I think, the trust of a lot of people.
Yeah, but don't get rid of all the people who were genuinely excited to work in this project and were sort of blue-balled. Don't get rid of those. You can change the name if you want.
Who is Arrow being closed down to placate? Is that the UFO community, which is not 1% of the US,
the general population?
The general public don't know who Arrow is. So, like you say, if Arrow can come out and have a win or something that is popular or hits the mainstream, that'll be the first time that most people ever hear of Arrow. So, yeah, right now Arrow's are nothing other than something the UFO community hates because of Sean Kirkpatrick, who is clearly a liar. And I've messaged him on LinkedIn multiple times. I'm sure many of us have, or spoken to him. The guy's clearly been caught up in multiple lies at this point now. He looks like he can't be fucked discussing UFOs and hates the topic and couldn't wait to be away from it. He was the ideal guy to be the head of that department at that time. Kozlowski, from what I've heard, isn't that guy. And it just always seems like he's cleaning up after the really bad name that Kirkpatrick gave it.
It's interesting, though, Andy, that Kirkpatrick is still out there. For a guy who wants to be anywhere but here, he sure sticks around.
He's still doing contract work for the DOE, so,
He's out there. I think he's out there to provide an alternative narrative, right? Like, because you have to. Because the other narrative is the president says they're real, Obama says they're real, here's a bunch of files. Like, I mean, what people do here when people hear about this topic is it's real. I think. I don't think. I mean, the burden now for me, and I'm curious about how all you guys handle this, because I'm also the UFO guy amongst my peers, and they will ask me questions, and I wonder if you guys get these too. But I kind of put it back on them. I'm like, dude, the burden is on you now to prove to me how this is not happening. You guys show me like why all of the stuff that I'm looking at, all of the evidence that we've seen so far, everything that we've stacked up over all of these years, like how much more do we need? Aside from a presidential like declaration or something, I mean, I think we kind of have the disclosure that we would have only thought, would have dreamed of 10 years ago. We have that now.
Can I just add, because I'll answer that first, I don't mind, but Kirkpatrick, for me, I only see Kirkpatrick mentioned when it's the UFO community bringing him up. So if people would stop talking about him, he would stop being a thing.
Yeah,
like
that's how I feel about Mick West and all those guys. Just stop.
Every one of those.
It's a self-fulfilling fucking prophecy and loop of people talking about these guys and going, "Oh, here's Kirkpatrick again." Yeah, well, ignore him. He's not
making them
contact
famous
in the desert. He's not. He's doing his other stuff. Just totally ignore it. Stop asking them questions. Stop messaging Susan Goff to get vague responses and then going, "Oh, look, she's obfuscating." No, you're just looking for a nothing answer to say I've messaged her and she's not told me anything. Of course she has. It's constantly asking that girl out who keeps saying no to you and hoping she's going to say yes one day. She's not saying yes, so stop dropping her messages.
She lives in Canada. You haven't met her, guys.
Yeah, 100%.
There's people that are obsessed with debunkers. Stop being obsessed with debunkers.
Yes, that's a big issue in ufology. So we feel it ourselves a little bit. But yeah, so your question was around what? What was I answering? Fucking a random about Kirkpatrick. What was the actual question?
How do we feel about Arrow being connected to this process in broad strokes? I mean, is Arrow a tarnished brand forever, or could it be salvaged? Hang on, I have an alien of my own who just stopped.
Look at this guy. Yes.
What is like midday? What's he doing?
Is that a night shift running shirt?
Yeah, it's a one of a kind. It's a night shift rash card.
Awesome.
All right.
The worst thing is Clint called his own son Kirkpatrick. That's his first name.
No, I didn't call him.
What a patriotic child. I love it. That's great.
All right. You're Captain America. All right. Captain America.
For the record.
Sorry, it's my kid.
That's great.
All of the images that were released today, I don't know if you had this train of thought, Clint, but we've had images like this before. We had some delivered to us by Nathan at Strange Mysteries a little over a year ago, I think it was at this point. And I'm starting to look at those images now in a bit of a different light. And I found them. I found the original picture sets that Nathan sent us. And a lot of them now, if we take a look at this, for example, there's a lot in these new images. There's a lot of black dots like this, just black circles. If I can... I'm sure I have. Yeah, so on the original page...
Is that not the sun?
I don't know, but this is... So
if someone showed me that, I wouldn't think UFO. I'd be like, that's the sun through a cloud.
But there's a number of photos in the drop that are, again, just black circles. And you would hope, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility that a pilot would know that this isn't a sun or whatever. Well, that one looks like they're looking down anyway, because you can see the terrain. But so
the sun's shadow
could.
Andy, stop! It's a UFO. Come on.
Sorry, UFO.
This is the Department of. This is from the release today, by the way, not the picture sets. But if I go back to this one again, and ones like this. I mean, some of the ones in the picture sets were spectacular, and it was, this guy was apparently had access
go to the next one.
This one. This one.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, they get spectacular, but my only thought is, if we could verify one of these shittier ones like this, then it at least gives more authenticity to the more insane ones. Like
the trouble is with these that when they did drop, it was literally like right as the AI image generators had gotten really good.
Clint,
that
remembered
like
your
month.
Question. You asked the question about the public and the burden of proof being on them now.
Mm-mm.
all the pictures Xander just showed us is why it's not. Because if you show those to the public, you are showing them a black dot, a reflection, a sun, a nothing background, and one of them looks likely to be fake. That's not good enough. So it can be interesting to us, but there's a lot of stuff there that's really spurious, and I think
Fair.
the volume of evidence goes against the UFO community, and I'm including myself in that, because there's too much crap, and like you say, now AI stuff around it, and it takes away from the few, and that's why I sit here sometimes and go, well, is that a fan with a parachute attached to it? Which Xander said himself, I hadn't seen the parachute, right? But now I can't unsee that. And the contrails, for me, it's a better look for the entire UFO subject when people involved in it can sit and say, that's not a UFO, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman, whatever. Because then it does make the genuine stuff far more interesting, and it gives you far more credibility and authenticity to talk about the interesting stuff. Otherwise, everything's a UFO. Like, for me, that looks like a plane turning
X-37B for me. I thought that was an X-37B.
That's just an aircraft turning towards me. That's all I can see.
Yeah.
I don't see anything. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, these photos are awful in terms of like convincing people that there's something there. I wouldn't open with that. The question I was asking before, I think I didn't really articulate it very well, but what I was trying to say was, do you get recognized as the UFO guy when you're like out in your regular life just doing stuff? And if so, when someone does ask you, just kind of cold out of, you're standing in line at the store and someone's like, hey, I saw your show, or I know about your podcast. What do you think about this? If you have 2 minutes with somebody, what do you tell them if someone asks you a question like that?
There's not enough time.
I asked them to ask a specific question. Give me one question. Yeah. Right.
Does it happen to you, Chris, a lot?
So broad.
Yeah, I say we can't talk about it here.
Can't talk.
We got to go somewhere quiet.
They're listening.
We got to go to the skiff.
No, a lot of times it's probably instantly gaugeable, like where they're at in their own sort of ontology, or you know, how they ask the question. They're like, you don't believe in UFOs, do you? Or, man, I saw this. What do you think? You know, they're genuinely interested, and then so gauging that, you can sort of find out which piece of information to sort of lure them into our little cult here. I think that I think referring them to whether it's literature or whether it's documentaries, I think is the best move, because that's what I seem to do a lot. I think it helps. So like being like, oh, there's a movie you should check out, The Phenomenon, you know, watch that. Let me know what you think afterwards. But yeah, I think it's kind of useless going into a combative sort of, no, they are real. Here's the evidence. Have you not seen? Like, you're not going to get anywhere with that stuff. People are just going to, keep thinking the same. I think you just got to kind of ease in, respect other people's reluctance.
Chris is right. You only get so far with that conversation where you can draw them in for. So for me, I'll usually put them on the back foot and say, well, maybe they're not coming from that far away. People normally expect flying saucers coming from other planets. And they go, well, what do you mean? Well, maybe they're here already. We've got drone technology. Maybe something's got more advanced drone technology. It doesn't have to be that far ahead of us. Mm-hmm. But there comes a point, once you go to underwater bases and that kind of stuff, interdimensionals, they shut down. The conversation's gone. But I think, if you're that person, for me, it's look, there's a lot of really highly credible people and in really important roles across governments, across the world, in militaries, in science, and academia, now talking about this. Your Pasulkas, your Nolans, your Chris Mellons, whoever you want to name. Just go look at some of these people and what they've said. And you know what? Are they all lying? Are they all misidentifying stuff? Because a lot of people are putting reputations on the line that, for many of them, are only going to cost them money, careers, and whatnot if they keep going on. So I kind of go down that route just to get people interested and then promote my book.
Then straight into Loosh factories.
Straight into Loosh. Yeah, I hit him at the Loosh factory, right between the eyes. Start there. I guess it's funny because I don't get, maybe you guys have different interactions than I do. Mine are always very friendly and excited. Like, people who come up to me, they're like, oh, tell me what's going on. Like, what happened this week? Or what do you think about these scientists? Or what do they're coming to me like, because I'm following it. And so my interactions are much more, I don't know, maybe a lot more positive than that. So like when I get questions from people, it's generally just, they want to understand. They want to know like, oh, okay. You're the UFO guy. So what do you think about all this? And I like you said with, for me, Carl Nell is a guy like that, right? Like you look at Carl Nell's resume and you go on his LinkedIn and you look at you go, this is a guy who has no upside. There's no upside for him at all to come out and be like, aliens are real. I'm the alien guy. Like none. You could be consulting for, he already worked at Northrop and Lockheed. So what does he need to be doing this for? And here's a guy who comes out and he says in front of a packed house, a stage full of people, zero doubt, non-human intelligence is here. Okay. Well, how many people have to say it? Tim Gallaudet, same thing. Okay. Eric Davis, same thing. At a certain point, you just look at everybody's resume and you go, I've got the disclosure. I just don't have any way to make sense of it. That's the thing that frustrates me. I don't know how to tell people that.
I don't get that because people don't know me here in my city, which I love. So I don't really get that.
You don't get anybody.
I think that's also a trait of people who are sociable, to be more open and understanding to other people's opinions and beliefs. I think those who are more skeptical are also not inclined to strike up a conversation in that way.
True.
And so, it might be a little bit of a bias. All the people coming to you and being like, oh, what do you think? Those might be people who are more inclined to think openly anyways, as a general sense of living with within a society. Because I've gotten that too, like even at TSA or at customs, where they're like, what are you here for? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to film a UFO thing. And they're like, well, hold on, UFO thing. And then they start striking up a conversation. And I'm like, whoa, this is the other way I thought this was going to head if I said UFO.
Yeah. I was coming to your show. I was at the airport and I was I was standing in line at my airport, getting ready to get on the first flight to go out there. And there were some guys in line behind me who were all having a conversation about UFOs. All talking to they were like, oh yeah, they're doing this thing in Austin, and they were all going to Austin for something else, but they knew about it, and that was the thing. It's like it wasn't something they were directly involved in, but they were talking about it. And I maybe it's just me, but I feel like it is way more mainstream, at least in the States, than you guys are saying in Europe and the UK.
Yeah, especially within probably like heavily populated areas more so.
How is it in Canada? Is the conversation in Canada more or less the same, or?
I'm outside of the city, so it's kind of hit or miss.
It's a big country too, right?
Yeah, and then in the cities, as it gets denser, I think you probably have more of, again, people who are more used to living alongside other people's opinions, ideologies, and beliefs. When you live within a city, people are more progressive in that way because they have to live above, below, and beside people very close to them. So you have to learn how to be progressive and learn how to, take everybody's opinions in and beliefs and stuff. And so people are a little bit more open-minded, but as soon as you get to like more of like the country living and stuff, it's, it's hit or miss.
Dan, what about you? You're out in LA. What do you got?
I mean, I live in a pretty open and open group. My friend group is mostly people that work in the arts, and I think those people are kind of just more open to whatever. Not all of them are like all on board and believe, but I don't have anyone around me that's like completely dismissive. I have to go home and talk to my family to get dismissed about this stuff. So that's where I get most of my resistance, is through like family. Like my father-in-law, I think he adores me, but I think when he found out about my UFO love, he goes, oh, but he's also kind of a dumbass. He's not on board at all. And
wow,
which is funny because his wife is very interested. So she'll be asking questions and I'm talking to her and he's just looking at me like, this fucking idiot. But yeah, overall, but out here in LA, it's very, people are very open and just like, yeah, man, cool. What else? I'm in a sex cult or whatever the fuck.
Sex cult. Yeah. I'm thinking about starting a sex cult. I was contacted by the Raelian people and I reached out. They wanted to do an interview. And I was like,
Clint, wait, you were?
Huh?
You actually did?
Start a sex cult or talk to the Raelians?
Talk to the Raelians.
I didn't talk to them, but they reached out to me.
No way.
Wait, they really did?
I want to reach out to them. I want to talk to them.
I did a video about them and they reached out to me too, though.
All right, I'm gonna have to reach out. This guy, because I live in Quebec, province in Canada. They have their headquarters like an hour away from here.
I know.
They're
right there.
UFO.
Rael lives in Japan now, right?
He's in Japan now, and dude, he dresses like he lives in Japan.
Yeah,
he's dressed like a samurai.
Dude. He's wearing triangles and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's all just spam email them now. Let's all do it.
So for people, all right. So what do you guys think? Because I want to do this. I kind of want to do the interview, but I also know the history of this cult. So like, should I do it? I don't know if I. It's there.
I refused.
You refused,
dude. I will 100% do the Rael.
Yeah,
1,000%, dude. Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
Would you want? But you could get Rael. You could get him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be the goal. Yeah,
that'd be the
go to Japan.
This is just. I just got the guy. Like I got
the guy who cucked everybody's wife.
Dude, this guy.
Railed.
The head.
Dude, you got railed. Oh fuck.
That's what I was thinking. Because in the US, you say got railed for got banged, and I'm just wondering is that where it comes from?
That'd be great.
Oh my God. Okay, so
was it Norm Macdonald that said at one point, he's like, every cult sort of starts off the same, but then eventually it gets to the point where like two guys are just watching the cult leader bang his wife, and they're like, maybe he isn't Jesus.
This is so good.
Here we go. This is the guy. All right, for people who don't understand who Rael is, this is Rael.
You're gonna get DM today, Clint. I guarantee you.
DM?
What in my channel?
Dude.
What are they going to? They're
going
going to
reach
give you a hard
out to you.
Dude, this guy dresses like.
messages.
I mean,
dude, he built his own UFO set, and I've got a picture of it somewhere where he's like, "Okay, here we go. Maybe I can do this one. Here we go."
He looks like a mini boss in Dragon Ball or something.
Yeah,
here's a better one. So this guy,
DM'd, you're getting DP'd.
Back in the 70s, claimed that he had contact. He'd been taken aboard a craft, and he had been shown that humans were created by this group called the Raelians, and they were a genetic experiment. And then he started talking about this experience, and he gained a following. There's a documentary. What's the name of the documentary?
I watched it. It's incredible.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Do you know what it's called?
What's the name?
I think isn't it like Rael or something?
Probably. It's just a picture of him, and he starts getting a following, and then like before you know it, he's got this suit. Like he gets somebody to make this shit. He's got a flying saucer set. He does photo shoots in. There are people gathering around. He's got a whole compound. He's having sex with everybody too. He's like having sex with everybody's wife. It's like part of the deal.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Yeah, this sounds great. Sure, this is a good idea." Could never.
It's called Rael, the Alien Prophet. It's called on Netflix.
Okay.
The whole
I'm going to watch
cloning
that
part
this
of it is
it's
really
great.
creepy.
He was trying to bring back the swastika too, and like there's all sorts of weird stuff about this guy.
It fell out. We've really got a bad rep. I need to bring that back.
Yeah.
Here you go. This is the guy. Look, he comes out and he sits down in this
Be
like.
careful because we can get flagged really quickly by Netflix. Be careful.
Was that Jaime?
He's got a head like an old microphone.
There he is.
You know what
now.
I would do? Go to his
that's not him
Twitter
now,
page.
Yeah, that's him now.
really
Is it?
wild.
Oh, it is him now.
That
He's
is
like
him, yeah.
in Japan now. He has to go to Japan to live in exile because he's so crazy.
It's
So
time
these
for a new
guys-
UFO
Incredible.
cult, by the way. We need a new one.
Also, they claimed, and in this documentary, they get into it, but I remember being in high school when this was happening. They claimed that they created the first human clone, the first cloned baby. And it was a huge controversy. And there were scientists all around the world saying, you can't do it. It's not possible. These people didn't have the right expertise or the right. But they kept saying publicly, they were like, oh no, we've done it. We've done it. We've got the lab. And they were putting like Elizabeth Parrish with BioViva, that company where she had just enough evidence to kind of keep people interested and keep giving her money. Same thing with these guys. They had just enough of like media panache where they could pull it off, and they kept having press conferences, and they're like, the clone
They
baby
went
is
to court over it.
Serious
though.
conversations. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
They went to court.
all
And,
the way up until the very end. Even in the end of this documentary, the woman is still saying, she's like,
I know.
and that clone is out there. She's alive today. She's a 25-year-old woman or whatever she is.
Yeah, it's right after Dolly, right after they cloned that
The
sheep.
sheep.
So
Yeah.
it was huge hype.
Cloned in
By the way,
Scotland.
what's going on with
Oh,
that?
there you go. Yep.
The cloned in Scotland label. I look
yeah.
for it on all my clones.
Do you notice none of these sex cult leaders are ever Scottish because it's too much work? would be
Also,
so...
no one can understand you guys. It's hard to communicate as a leader with that accent.
Yeah, it's like fat bastard from Austin Powers.
Did he say he's going to bang my wife? I couldn't tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get
I don't know if he's trying to eat her or bang her. Yeah.
Xander, you got this, change it up. Xander, you got this transcript from the Gemini mission. Can we take a look at this? Or what's going on with this?
1965. I'm sorry. I wrote 64. It's 65. Gemini 7.
What does this say here? What do we have?
So do we want the audio recording or the transcript?
Well, probably transcript because you can't really hear.
I agree. Yeah.
Some of the audio is quite muffled.
Right.
Someone will AI upscale it. That'll be nice.
NASA exit is
Man.
PDF,
So
isn't it? It's
they
this
dropped a
one.
lot of stuff, huh? I haven't looked at anything.
They are
yet.
dropping a lot. I'm going to withhold judgment on this whole thing. I'm going to wait.
Pages of files, and each some of them are like 186 pages per link. Like,
How much did you say? I didn't hear. I'm sorry.
so it was like there's like 17 separate pages to click through, and there's about 10 on each, and some of them are like 186 pages per link.
Oh, okay.
Damn, that's a lot.
Stuff. Okay.
So who's going to play Who's going to play Houston? Who wants to play Houston?
I can do accents.
Let Xander and Andy do the whole thing.
He's actually from Dorset. He's not from Scotland.
Houston. Okay.
So
I can do American or Chinese. Which one?
American. You got to do it.
I'll do the American.
Wait.
They straight up.
Should we actually act this out?
Yeah, go on, Xander. You start.
Go on then. All right.
All right. Well, wait. We explain what it is, so people who are listening only and don't see this can
this
understand.
Gemini 7 was in low Earth orbit, and they saw something. It's as simple as that.
And this is a transcript that's from the released files that we're going to look at.
Yeah, a back and
Xander,
forth.
you're playing the
between
part
Houston.
of.
I'll be what's SC? There's no script accompaniment with this.
Shuttle crew, ship crew. I don't know. Space command. What
Space
does that
command.
say? We'll call it space command.
I'll be SC. Okay.
Shuttle
Gemini
command.
Shuttle command. Is it? Yeah. Whatever. Gemini 7 here, Houston. How do you read?
Loud and clear, 7. Go ahead.
Oh my god. So this is bombing. Bogey at 10 o'clock. Hi.
This is Houston. Say again, 7.
Said we have a bogey. This is really good, Andy.
Blown away, fellas.
Oh god, I'm dying.
I said we have a bogey at 10 o'clock. Hi.
Roger, Gemini 7. Is that the booster or is that a natural setting?
A what?
Say again, 7.
We have debris up here. This is an actual sighting.
Oh god.
I do declare.
I'm deciding.
You have any more
deciding where he's from.
information?
You on a
Estimate
riverboat?
distance.
It's like a Midwest housewife.
Yeah, just
We
change that all of a
also
sudden.
have the booster.
I see it, baby.
We also have the booster inside.
Oh, I can't.
Understand
I
you
can't.
also have the booster inside, Roger.
So far they've basically said it's not what they're seeing is not the booster. They have that also in sight elsewhere. So anyway, understand you also.
This is page 1 of 20, guys. So just settle in. Get us.
We have very many. It looks like hundreds of little particles going by to the left, out about 3 or 4 miles.
Understand you have many small particles going by on the left at what distance?
Garbled. 4 miles. It looks like a path of the vehicle at 90 degrees.
Roger, understand they're about 3 or 4 miles away.
They've passed now. They're going into polar orbit. So it just sounds like they've adjusted course in some way.
Roger, understand they were 3 or 4 miles away.
That's what it appears like. That's Roger.
Gemini
Stop
7,
laughing.
Houston.
It's not funny. It's important.
Dude, hearing you guys try to dance around the R's is insane.
So good.
If people keep interrupting me, I'm going full Christian Bale. Like, I'm trying to get on roll here.
No notes.
Gemini 7, Houston. Were these particles in addition to the booster and the bogey at 10 o'clock high?
Roger. I have the booster on my side. It's a brilliant body in the sun against a black background with trillions of particles on it. That's weird.
Roger, what direction is that from you?
It's about at 2 o'clock my position.
Does that mean it's ahead of you?
It's ahead of us at 2 o'clock, slowly tumbling.
Roger. I mean, we can't do 4 pages of this, can we?
Yeah, we're not. But anyway,
it both
seems
sound like Herbert the pervert from Family Guy.
This is where the doctor's note takes over anyway. So.
But Xander, what do you want in the scene? What do you want? Come on.
What's your motivation, dude?
I don't believe it.
I want a better. I want Andy's
accent. Goes to show you,
Andy, what is
there are no bad astronauts, only bad actors.
Thank you, guys.
Professional podcasters over here.
So funny.
That was comedy gold, guys. Thank
on
you.
the next Dreamland Live.
Having said that, pretty cool. There weren't. I don't think there were many satellites in orbit at the time. Yeah.
Very cool shit.
I'm reserving judgment on all this for a couple of weeks. I want to wait and see.
Well, I like that they've said it's going to get weirder as they go. Well, that's a little reassuring. I hope they stick to it.
The Emile Molnar 3. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry,
no,
guys.
I think you killed it, dude. That was great.
The poly market the U.S. confirm that aliens exist by will result in no, because they are not extraterrestrials but interdimensional or unknown NHI, and guess who will profit? What? You think this is some kind of poly market hustle? Is that what you're saying?
World Health Organization?
No, I don't know. I think he's saying the president, because there's been a lot of like insider trading within the government over the Iran war, and there's a lot of people are saying that these news releases are really about just timing trades behind the scenes. That's what's going on. So when a big announcement happens, I don't know how you
true.
I don't know how you make money off of UFO release. This seems more like a head fake.
I don't think we'd be releasing anything if they didn't have some kind of tech deals lined up in the background. They must have secured some kind of stuff before they started doing this. I think.
Yeah.
The only way this makes any sense is if it's a business decision to unveil technology and license it and make money.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
That's
this
the only
isn't
way
just for this is not for the good of the people. That's not what this is about.
No,
at all.
But again, there's like the poly market stuff, because wasn't there a tweet that Trump said where like there was a poly market the day before saying like if Trump says inshallah or whatever it is, or like the Arabic equivalent to like in whatever they say, but if Trump said that, like what's the over under on that? And there was like a bet on poly market, and then he goes and tweets it the next day, and somebody actually put a lot of money into that and made like a boatload of money.
Yeah, probably his son.
So like,
or whatever.
There's it, right, exactly. So there might be some actual, side scheming on poly market for this type of stuff for sure, like backdoor deals and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think it'd be 100%. An impetus to do it, but it would be just a boness.
I'm not saying this as a political dig at conservatives or at Trump. I believe that's true. If it's Democrats or Republicans, like these guys are all insider traders. They're all scumbags, and they all want to make money off of the shit. So
100%.
Yeah, that's for sure happening.
We did have another prediction a little while ago. We can show that again. Prediction: each file release will be more spectacular, leading up to the evidence being undeniable. Trump making a speech on the Roswell anniversary, nicely timed with Grush's 90 to 60 day escalation.
Yep. I want to bring that up earlier. The timing does work. I noticed that last night, that does fall in that 60 to 90 day window. Like exactly.
So does Disclosure Day.
That's right.
And it does talk about religion and all sorts of stuff.
I don't know if you care, but Dr. Stephen Greer's conference just started. And
I do
not care.
Okay.
Bring him in here.
Just saying,
I just don't care.
Just saying.
Send him a link.
Saying.
Yeah.
Speaking of cult leaders.
Does he know we're doing this right now? How dare he?
We've got some friends there right now.
That's right. That's right.
I would sit down with Stephen Greer, and I would love to have a conversation that I don't have to pay for. And I would, if that were ever to happen, I would totally, with all respect, sit down and I have a million questions for Stephen Greer.
But he won't give you.
My only thing with him is that he just he hasn't added anything really new or substantive to the conversation. And yes, maybe a lot of what he's saying is true, but what have you done for me lately? Like, what is this? He's always promising that the next thing is going to happen tomorrow, but it never comes. And we just get another documentary about the same thing.
He also doesn't have conversations. He talks to people. Like you ask him something, he just goes on a tirade and he has his talking points. He doesn't ever take in like what you're saying or what your opinion is. It's just like, no, that's dumb. Here's what's happening because I say so.
The only person here with a chance to get him on is Chris. Okay. And Chris, I'll give you $1,000 if you can get Stephen Greer to say I don't know, because the man has never once claimed to not know something. Anything thrown at him is either no, you're stupid, that's wrong, or actually this is why it is this way, and he goes off on a tirade. I never trust someone that doesn't say they don't know.
Right, don't trust them.
That's why you belong. That's why you belong on Doomer Fridays. We've said that so many times. We say it about anybody who claims to have absolute knowledge on anything in this is likely trying to sell you something. And
like a book.
Here you're judged by the quality of your questions.
Yeah,
that's
and
what
how
we're
many books
looking
you've put out. Yeah,
and your book.
Just one.
Yeah, it's the one.
Just one.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think as many people do with Stephen Greer. It's I'm not interested in having that conversation. And the thing is, counterintuitively, I know that it would be a banger episode and it'll like do really well for like the channel, but it's not at all, I think, what I want. I don't want to talk to a guy like that right now. If he ever has some type of like crazy ego death experience and comes back and is like, back down to earth and let's have that conversation, because there's a lot he knows for sure. And there's a lot that he's been exposed to, I'm sure, that is very interesting. But it's like Andy said, is getting anything of substance out of him from like an honest and vulnerable position is very difficult. And potentially due to what he's been through or what he's been subjected to makes him that way. So, I can't fully judge why he is like that, but I don't think it'd be conducive to a very, very good conversation, not a good dialogue.
Okay.
His bank balance makes him that way.
Hey, here's one for you guys. And I'm curious, just each of you individually, I'm just curious. How much responsibility do you feel as a creator in this space to push forward and advocate for disclosure? Do you see your role as a content creator, a UFO researcher, or a advocate that is actually agitating for political action on this?
Very little on my end.
Very little political.
I wouldn't consider myself pushing for disclosure. I'm just trying to find out what's happening. But the whole disclosure narrative, I don't support it really. Like the official one, it's like there's people who already had disclosure. You're not going to tell them, oh, this is real or this isn't when they experience it themselves. It just makes no sense to me. So.
But if the government is pushing forward and doing what, we're seeing it happen now, whatever this turns out to be, we're watching it take place. Do you feel a sense of responsibility to like become a part of that process and at least guide that conversation in a way that makes it, that elevates it?
If it happens with the work that I'm doing, I mean, that's okay, but that's not something that I'm actively seeking at all. The best example of it was that I just spoke to John Burroughs. He goes completely against pretty much everything that the control disclosure people are rooting for. And his story is very compelling to me. And I have no problem talking to him. And I think that in many aspects, he's telling the truth. Many others, we disagree. But yeah, it's like, no. And I get people that do have that sense of responsibility for it, and more power to them. It's just not something that I'm actively looking for.
Yeah, Dan, how do you see your role? Do you imagine that you have a role, or do you see it that way at all?
I think that I'm so interested and I'm just fascinated and I want to learn as much about it as possible. And I think that just by doing what we're doing, we're helping the conversation, and whatever capital D disclosure is, I think we're part of doing it, but it's not like, I don't take it as my mission or I don't think I have a role. I'm just interested. I'm just a fan of this, and I'm inquisitive and I like talking about it. And if we can help people pull them along, that's what we do. I think that's our role here, but I don't take it as like my responsibility at all. I just love it.
Andy, what about you?
I wouldn't say godlike, but no. I think it's got to a point where I do feel I've got a little bit of a responsibility, but not in a wanky way, right? Not like a dickhead way. But I think I just like to help people navigate the landscape, because there's a lot of bullshit. There's a lot of weird stuff. There's a lot of nuts and bolts. There's a lot of speculation. And I like to think I've got a relatively unique angle and take on it, because I can call a spade, and I'm happy to say I don't know. I'm happy to say this is really weird, and it's just a different aspect to the conversation. Whereas I think a lot of the time, especially when you attend like conferences in person, someone can sit and talk about fucking crystal healing and they've met aliens from the Pleiades and come see their talk about fucking Rael and shit like that. And there's not a lot or enough people over the decades have called this stuff out, because it's damaging and it's easier to go down the extreme route, and it's easy to go down the really highly speculative route, i.e. Gaia TV, and just sit and make shit up. So a little bit of honesty, and I think just to help people kind of navigate the landscape. But Scott Hall, famous wrestler, Razor Ramon, once said, listen to everyone's opinion, but make up your own mind. And I think that's a great way to navigate anything, including the UFO subject. Listen to everyone, but go and make up your own mind. Don't listen to me. Make up your own and kind of go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. You know, from my perspective, I've said this before. Number one is a purely selfish endeavor for my own personal need to express myself creatively. And I've always had that sort of relationship with YouTube. For me, I am a creator. I like world building. I love the aesthetic of filmmaking and editing and all of the things that go into that. Now, if I can do that about something I'm really passionate about and something I'm really curious about, then everything that comes from that is like a symptom of it, like or an offshoot. So if you get inspired from the content, that's not what I set out for. I'm glad it happened to you. If you find a deeper personal truth, I'm glad that happened. It's not my fault. I did this for me, but you got that for you, and I'm happy for you. And so I've always treated it very selfishly in this sort of personal artistic expression, followed by a genuine curiosity. And then whatever comes from that, you know, if it helps move the needle, then so be it. I don't really care. I think that I just do what I like doing and trust that if I do that properly, people will like it, and it'll, you know, be a net positive at the end of the day. So I really don't think about anything else further down that line.
That's such a great answer too. I agree with you on the it's such a deep well of material to draw on as a creative person. If you have the skill set that lends itself to this kind of work, I totally see what you're saying. I approach it the same way, but I do feel a responsibility to at least represent the conversation, represent the people like us who are interested in this topic in a way that is positive. You know, like, we ask intelligent questions. We're not just here to believe all kinds of crazy bullshit. There are people who do, but that's not this group. We're here to just intelligently engage with this conversation. But it is a lot of fun too. Xander, what about you? Do you have a feeling on this either way?
The exact question was what's my role, I guess?
Do you feel, one, like you have a role to play in the larger, I don't know if you want to call it a battle for, you know, truth over whatever the cover up? Do you feel like you have a role? And if you do you feel, you know, responsible for how this conversation is represented on your channel or through your own work as a creator?
Yeah, number one, I have to have fun with what I'm doing. I have to enjoy the process of making the videos and things. I do have to, like Ramsey, I have to try and express myself in the time that I have. But at the same time, I don't think I get the same level of self. I can't watch my videos back and say, yeah, that looks really good. I have to wait for everybody else to tell me that it's really good and meaningful. That's probably where I extract the value, rather than I get enjoyment out of making it, not necessarily watching it. I kind of almost cringe a little bit when I watch. I just check the intros and stuff once I've rendered the videos out, and then I kind of have to wait for somebody to tell me whether it's shit or not. But in terms of my role, like I do have aspirations to be useful to the conversation. There's a lot of nuts and bolts, amazing nuts and bolts stuff. Gerb is truly insane with the stuff he's doing. He's kind of the pure nuts and bolts stuff. He's found what he loves to do, and I'm probably on the other end where it's like, well, try and put the context into what it means to be you as a human kind of thing. I'm trying to go as far into there as possible because that's basically what I enjoy. It's what I spend most of my day thinking about. So if I can be useful there, then awesome. But if I don't enjoy doing it, I'll stop doing it, basically.
And I think there's an ecosystem where everybody can have their own voice about this and express themselves about this. For Ramsey, it's the storytelling. For Sander too. I know that Dan is very interested in the experiencer side and bodies and all that stuff, the biologics. I like to just stay myself informed because of my background in journalism. So, and I want to keep people as informed as I am. And it's a little bit selfish too. I get it. But like your question initially was about specifically the disclosure movement, right? And that is a whole separate issue. I think that there's a number of people that are working through that. And I think that we are like in the outskirts of it. But I don't think, for example, that what is told in Age of Disclosure is the full picture.
Mm.
And something that I do want to like make abundantly clear is that I think that the full picture should be told because I think this is a serious topic. And when you're like trying to create stuff or trying to tell people what's going on, and you don't like at least tell them, hey, there's a lot more that you also need to look at, and just go with that angle specifically, that's when I like, and it's not a matter of responsibility. It's just like common sense, I think. I don't know.
I feel like it's, I respect the conversation. I truly do have a deep interest in the topic, and I feel a calling to participate in the moment because it does feel like we're living through a moment, and whatever this moment turns into in the end is going to be, a lot different than how it started. And I don't know. I guess I just feel as someone who was last pick for kickball throughout my educational career, I'm uniquely qualified to talk about this because that's just mostly what I'm interested in. So I feel a little responsibility to elevate the conversation and just represent it well and try to find ways to engage people with it. But yeah, you're right. The disclosure conversation is its own separate thing. There's the larger question of like what is going on, UFOs, what are they, where are they from, who are the occupants, etc. But then there's the question of like the political movement towards getting the government to finally like come clean and just say, yeah, it's aliens and be done with it, but not do it with a wink and a nod, do it in an official way. I do feel like there is a responsibility as just a human being to kind of push that conversation forward and advocate for transparency, in a broad sense.
Also, adding levity, I think, is incredibly important to this topic, for me anyways. But I think that you get enlightened through comedy as well, right? Like George Carlin, and he was probably one of the most insightful philosophers that we've had in our generation,
Absolutely.
But he did it through comedy, and comedy is a great tool for enlightenment. And so using levity and inserting that into a topic that is so serious, that does have these serious implications, I think enables people to digest it in a way that is not so scary, maybe not so life-changing. And if you can laugh about it, kind of like, if a tragedy happens and you're, instead you have a laugh about it or something. It's a way of digesting information that is, I think, a little healthier for your existing ontology. And I think that we could use more levity. We could use more science fiction, more comedy around this. And I go opposite of what a lot of people say, especially the serious disclosure people. They're like, no, this is 100% serious. We need to stop these tropes. I'm like, bring the tropes, dude. I love the tropes. Let's have fun with the tropes. Who cares? Like, I mean, if this is real, it's happening anyways. You might as well enjoy the ride. You might as well, take yourself out for a spin every now and then.
I think there's a reason why pages like yours and pages like the Y Files do so well. There's a sincerity in there, and also some lightness and some fun. And I think you're right. That's a very important part of it too.
Do you it's have a reaction to? Just real quick, I want to share this because this was just posted. Neil deGrasse Tyson did a public response opinion piece in the New York Times, and it's called "Give Us the Aliens," and he's responding to the Trump release. And what's interesting about this, and you don't have to read it now, but if you have read it, one thing you'll pull away from this is that he does change his tone a little bit, and he seems a little bit more accepting of this conversation as a matter of public discourse. But he kind of just ends it with, "So show me a fucking picture of an alien and we can move on." What do you guys think about the way that, here we are, New York Times again. In 2017, they were the ones who broke the Tic Tac gimbal Go Fast videos and the Leslie Kean article. And here we are, speaking of tropes, with the cow being abducted. It's like all in one here. You can almost hear the X-Files music playing in the background. Is this moving forward? Is it moving backwards? Are we making progress? Are we not? What do you think about all this?
I don't like that he's like the spokesperson for how people think. I just don't. It's not an open-mindedness scientists are supposed to have. It's not this inquisitive nature. It's a very skeptical take constantly, and it's kind of exhausting to be quite frank. And I think that I don't know. I think that something like that is reminiscent of the same mentality people had in the 90s about UFO stuff, where they'd laugh you off stage. I think we're done with that. I think we need to stop giving this guy a soapbox to talk about disclosure on. But he's, you know what, and take this as you will, but I feel like he's a smart person for people who don't understand much. People who don't really get anything, they're like, well, what does Bill Nye have to say type deal, right? And that's kind of his role. Not saying he's not smart. He's way smarter than I am. But that's his sort of role that he's taken on. And let's look to Neil. And what does Neil have to say about all this? Well, Neil hasn't actually been part of the conversation at all, and shouldn't, I don't think shouldn't matter what Neil says. It's like Dave Chappelle asking, in his skit when he's like, after 9/11 happened, where's Ja Rule? What does Ja Rule have to say about this? Who cares?
Right. Yeah,
he's very unscientific stance for a scientist. It's bizarre.
He's the least curious person that claims, for a scientist to be so. He just has no curiosity about the subject whatsoever. He doesn't seem to be very interested in even entertaining.
He's got enough of an interest because his book comes out next week on it.
Oh, is that what's going on? So that's why the article.
That's why he's written the article. It's called "Take Me to Your Leader."
I reached out, by the way, and I know someone who works directly with him. Is a magician friend of mine, and he works in physics, black hole stuff. And I was like, "Hey, would he ever, be willing to come on the show?" And the answer I got was, "No, he would never entertain such a thing because clearly what you talk about is fiction." And I go, "No." I'm like, "That's the thing. We're." I just had Avi Loeb on, and I know how Avi feels about, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Avi said Neil's a little bitch. That's what Avi said.
Yeah. But I'm like, he is an astrophysicist, the head of the, astronomy department at Harvard or whatever. I'm like, that's a legit person. I had an anthropologist on, Dr. Michael Masters. There's all these really credible people. I've had, ex-CIA people, intelligence people. And yet he was like, I think it was more of if he can't come out on top, he won't do it. And I think maybe that's just a career move, and that's fine for where he's at. He wants to win everything and kind of sell his book or whatever. But he's got the same sort of deal, skeptics should treat him the same way they treat other experiencers who come out with books. But they don't.
Good point. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Mick West actually spends more time looking at evidence of UFOs than Neil deGrasse Tyson, for sure.
True.
Need to bring back Celebrity Deathmatch. That's what we have to bring back.
We're trying.
Talking about that a lot. Yeah.
Justin's working on that. Don't shh. Tell you. Shh. All right, guys. We kind of went over our time by about 15 minutes. Any last thoughts before we wrap it for today? Because I feel like we've gone as far as we can take this.
What do you want
I'm
to happy.
With?
They delivered something. I was very skeptical that they were going to release anything. So I'm a little enthused that it has at least started, and I hope they follow this idea that it'll get weirder and maybe more difficult or more interesting or whatever as we go. But I'm impressed that they did something. So kudos to them. Credit where it's deserved.
Me too. Yeah, likewise.
Clint, I'm a big Starbucks fan, and local to me, I never had a Starbucks. And about 4 years ago, they started building one at a local hospital. So we had the shell of the Starbucks there. And when they started building it, the foundation, I got really excited, but it sat empty for 3 years before they finally finished it off. So they've laid the foundation. Is it going to sit for 3 years before they build it? Or are they going to build it quicker than that? So I'm intrigued because I'd like my coffee.
Okay.
I'm still wondering whether sorry, I'm interrupting.
Oh, go ahead, Xander. You go first, and then we'll go to Pavel.
I'm still wondering whether it might lead to aliens.gov in some way. They have the domain.
Right. What's going on with aliens.gov?
That's for something, but it wasn't for this for some reason. So why is it? What's going to be on aliens.gov? We've also heard of the Trump disclosure coin. I don't know how much stock to put in that story, but I think there's more to come. I'm being quietly not so quietly hopeful.
I think the coin story's real.
I think it's real. Merch is real with this administration. Their merch game is strong. Chris, what do you any last thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a big merch guy too. What do I think about this? I don't know, man. I feel optimistic like a lot of you do. I think a lot of people feel optimistic. I think there are definite things to improve, as we can point out all day. But I think it's a step in the right direction. It's a win for us. It's a win for humanity in a very small incremental way. But it is, I think, a net positive.
Team human all the way. And for those of you who are playing the home game, following along with us from your phone or your laptop or wherever you may be streaming or watching this or listening, let us know in the comments. What do you think? Did this move the needle for you, or are you going to wait and see? I think it feels like a pretty positive step forward. Xander, you've got a Dreamland coming up. Tell us what's going on with Dreamland.
Oh yeah, this week's episode is all about synchronicity and how it works within ufology. I had no idea Carl Jung was so interested in UFOs, but apparently he was. So spent the last week looking at all of that, and yeah, I won't go too much into it, but yeah, it was just trying to ask the right questions.
We gotta
celebrate
help you with your elevator pitch, man. Your episodes are so good.
I don't do that.
You sell yourself short. Get over to Dreamland Motel, guys. Subscribe and listen to the new episode dropping in couple hours, right? Hour and a half?
40 minutes.
40 minutes. Oh, wow. God,
yeah.
3:21. All right, guys. There you go. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of the Team Night Shift conversation, the Doomer Friday conversation. And if you're streaming this through one of the many other places that it's being restreamed, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for participating in this most interesting of all conversations. It's pretty awesome. If you want to help us out, you can do so by subscribing, liking, sharing, following, whatever platform you're watching this on. Just click the appropriate button and become a subscriber or follower, and we'd really appreciate it. It doesn't cost a dime. It only takes a second, and it's the best way to help us grow. And you can also go to teamnightshift.com, and you can pick up some Night Shift coffee and support the show that way. We really appreciate it every time that happens. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you on the next one. Until then, keep looking